Hello, Aries, and welcome to Indigo Rising Tarot. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope you're having a great day. This will be your weekly reading for the week of June 7th through the 13th. And during that time, as far as the moon cycles, we have a last quarter moon that comes in on the 8th. And that is a really good time for the realization of the things that you've started during the new cycle. We're going to start doing some inward reflection as we achieve those goals and achieve our full potential. Get rid of negativity and just kind of purge ahead and finish things. We then have the waning crescent moon that comes in after that for the rest of the week, and that is a time of stability and calm. Also, a good time to be thoughtful and growth oriented as we start to self reflect on the things that we've just done. How have we learned? How have we grown? And start making those changes or start making those notes for change that we might want to do differently or things that we might want to start when the new moon comes around next week. So please keep those moon energies in mind as we move through the week. This will be an intuitive general reading for energies that you may or may not encounter, Aries. So, as always, please take what resonates and leave what doesn't here on the table for someone else. And your overall message for this reading is, what do you need to release? So there you go. That really goes along with that, with the moon cycle. You know, releasing negativity, just getting rid of things, wrapping up things that we've started, and yeah, release negativity. So let's see what it is that you need to release, Aries. As I'm shuffling the tarot, my fun weekly reminder this week is that you pay attention to the world when it comes to synchronicities. So, you know, sometimes you might try to pay attention. Nothing synchronistic might happen that week, but sometimes they do. But just kind of make a note of those things, write them in your spiritual journal. This could be songs that you overhear. You know, for example, let's say you have a situation in your life and you're kind of questioning things and looking for an answer to something, and all of a sudden you're in your car and you're kind of tuning through the radio dial if you're like me, and this could be a song or words if people are talking, and something comes across and it's literally the answer to the question that you're asking. That's a synchronicity that's happened to me quite a few times in my life. But just something like that, pay attention to those things and just kind of pay attention to those overheard messages that are just around you that maybe aren't even meant directly for you, but they are. So that is my fun weekly reminder. This could also come in the form of, repeating number patterns or just things that happen. The synchronicities, there's a gamut of things that could happen, but just try to pay attention to those this week and get yourself on that awareness track of synchronistic things. So, all right, Aries, I swear I will stop babbling right now. Let's get into this reading. June 7th through the 13th. What do you need to release? And your overall energy for the present right now is the Five of Swords. So you may have some sort of negativity that comes in the form of, this could be words exchange, some sort of argument, something that's going on with some people around you that, maybe things that need to be said. Are you the sayer or the recipient of those words? Could be either. So think about a situation like that. That seems to be what this reading may be about for you today. Your current situation is the Seven of Pentacles here. So you're kind of waiting on a harvest, something to come in. There might be some sort of discord going on in the background, but you're waiting on a harvest. This is something that you've put out in your past. What sort of seeds have you planted? And sometimes this can be financial and material. Of course, it is a card of Pentacles, but sometimes this can just be emotional things too, that may be coming back. Have you planted good seeds in the past that are coming back, or have you maybe planted not the best seeds and you're starting to see some of the results with like words exchanged and things happening? Swords are air energy, so this is words flying around, things being said. So think about that. Think about how your past is affecting that Five of Swords card there. At the root here of your situation is the Devil card. So here comes the devil in to kind of put you off track. This could be false truth, things that come in, self-doubt. Ask yourself, why are you having this exchange of words? Is it a real conflict with someone, with other people? Or is it something that you're kind of bringing on yourself because of this? This can be a card of being closed-minded, in denial, This could be, something that maybe you're obsessed with. This could also be a card of dependency. So think about, those sorts of things. This is at the root of this. So, the devil brings up things, and sometimes the devil brings up things that you do need to look at. It's the adversary, but it's also kind of bringing things to light that you maybe need to look at, especially when it comes to just those self-negative things that we all have inside of us. And if it comes up for whatever reason, then it's time for us to examine those things and say, why do I react that way? Or it's just that self-questioning that you need to do. But there is the devil at the root of that. In your recent past here, Six of Pentacles. So I usually ask when this card comes up in an in-person reading, what do you see happening here? Do you see, someone giving, or do you see people receiving? Sometimes people see both. That kind of puts you on the. It's kind of like whatever you see is where you've been more recently. So have you been more giving, more receiving, and either is fine. But this is, something that you're coming into this entire situation with some sort of energy there of giving, of receiving. Again, it could be these seeds that you've planted in the past. So think about that. Think about what might be coming in for you in that way. What's on your mind this week is the Lover's card. And I always, anytime I pull the Lover's card out with the Devil card, I always look at how similar, we've got this couple here that usually when you're, a lot of times when you're in it with the devil, you're in it with a partner, right? That our partners are our biggest self-reflection. It's where we're learning about ourselves when in our big long-term relationships. So anyway, it's on your mind that this could be something that's coming up. These words exchange might be something with your partner. um, we'll see as the cards continue to come out. But have you planted the right seeds? Is there, something that maybe you didn't plant that you're kind of waiting for the harvest to come in, and you're starting to see this with some exchange of words? Is there some disruption? It very well could be. But your lover is definitely on your mind this week as you go through whatever this is. And it could be that just that this is the person, many times our long-term relationships, that's where we grow and learn the most, because we're so closely mirrored to that person that we've partnered up with. But it's also that maybe they're on your mind as your person to give your communications, that it's your close person, someone to really confide in. So think about what that is in your situation this week. What is just ahead of you, Aries, is one final push to wrap whatever this is up. So, whatever it is that you've been going through here, one final push to get through it, to be done, to wrap it up, to just finish whatever it is that is going on with you. Again, is it some sort of dependency, some sort of self-doubt, some sort of something that's coming up for you, that's either in this relationship, or again that you're confiding in your relationship about it. But it looks like you're at least on this final push to get through it. So have the words, have this exchange, whatever it might be. Sometimes it's just things that need to be said. They're not comfortable, they're not great, but we all have to go through that. Get through it, and so you can move on and have a happier time, maybe even by the end of your week here. In your advice position here is the Magician. So anytime we have an ending and a wrap up like this, here comes the Magician, the one card in the major arcana to say, okay, we wrap that up. Anytime you have an ending, it just opens up space for something new to begin. So the Magician comes to ask, what is it that you want to improve on in your life? Again, we're at this time in the moon cycle where we're about to approach the new moon, and it's time to start thinking about those things. It's like, okay, well, last month I worked on this, last cycle, the next cycle, I would like to work on, maybe I want to be a better communicator. And how is it that I do that? Maybe you pick up a book on communication, or, especially if it's within a relationship, there's lots of relationship communication books. Go start doing that research and do the work to be better at the thing that you feel like you need work on. Is it communication? Maybe. Is it being open and loving? Maybe. Is it something in the pentacle realm? So, the advice is to really start thinking about what changes do you need to make, inner and outer, in your world, and go ahead and let's get working on those changes. Okay, what is beyond your control this week, Aries, is the Three of Pentacles, which is about collaboration and usually in the creative realm. But we've got a lot of pentacles on the table. This could be something work related, this entire situation. It could just be something that's crazy going on at work, words were exchanged. You're still kind of at a point where you have to work with these people, that you do have to collaborate. So it's kind of like you have to work it out. And again, maybe you're going home and you're just telling your spouse, hey, here's what's going on at work and yeah, you do. We all kind of unload on our significant other. That's why they're there. So, but anyway, figure out what it is that you need to work on. Anytime you have any sort of disruption in your life, it's brought to you because it's something that you do need to work on personally. It's something you need to learn, work on, grow from, and move on from, because then again, you don't get to encounter it again. Once you learn the thing, whatever it is, whatever it might be for you, once you learn it, it's like it doesn't even exist anymore. It's like, why did I even worry about that? Because you don't get presented with that problem again. I found this to be so true over and over. And something I talk about a lot in my personal life, both with my kids, my husband. If you're having this thing that's coming up over and over and over, it's really not about the thing, it's about you. So pay attention to those things. What is your secret desire, or what are you trying to avoid, is the star card. Well, hopefully it's you're not trying to avoid the star card, because this is our card of direction. This is about following and looking at the signs in the universe, like I was talking about the synchronicities. What is out there that's kind of telling you where the next path for you is. If you pay attention to those things, the universe is kind of showing you that. Once you're open to that language and seeing it, you just can't see it. You can't not see it, I mean. So, the star card is about that. It's about, they say it's written in the stars. This is about being on course. This is about, that direction where you make a decision about something and everything just kind of flows and it works out for you. And it's like, wow, that was amazing. Yeah, because that is the actual direction that you're supposed to be going in. But this is about, being an optimist, being prosperous, having things that do work out for you. So I really do hope that that is your secret desire. I doubt, and if it is that you're trying to avoid it, it might not be that you're even consciously trying to avoid it. Maybe just subconsciously you're fighting something that the universe keeps nudging you towards, and you're like, no, I don't want to do that. And maybe if you have something like that going on, you sometimes you have to give into it and say, okay, let me take this path and see what happens. And you might be amazed at what actually does happen. The success that you have, even though it doesn't appear to be the decision like the way you want to do it, right? Let the universe guide you in that way. In your outcome this week, Aries, is the Sun card. Well, there you go. There's your happiness at the end of whatever this conflict for you is. Again, is it work related? It could be. Is it relationship related? For some of you, it could be. Tarot is a template. So these are energies that we're talking about. So, it could be, let's say that if it is a work related thing, you have a very tense situation come up at work as you're kind of maybe mid project. You've been, maybe you, as far as the giving, you put in so much on this project and you're finding that maybe people around you didn't, but they're wanting the same kind of reward when it comes up. So you mention it, and it's kind of that double card. It's kind of that, hey, I put in more on this project, and that the it's the insecurities, things that come up there. And maybe you really did, but sometimes at work it's like, well, that's what happens, right? That those things come up and you are frustrated by it, and you have some words out. You go home to your spouse and you talk about it, and that makes you just feel better. You decide to be done with it. You either make your apologies or make your amends at work, and you decide, okay, I need to be better at whatever it is. Here comes the magician to say, well, here you go. Here's how you choose an element to be better at, and so that you can work more comfortably with the people around you. And if you do that, you're following the direction of the universe, and look, it leads you right to happiness. So that's a very, that's a one situation um take on this reading in a nutshell. Even though, again, for different Aries, it might not be about work, it might be about a relationship, it might be about a friendship, all the different things that are happening in each of our lives every day. So, but that's kind of the energy of it. So pay attention to that part of it. Let's see what's hidden for you this week, Aries. At the bottom of the deck is the Empress card, which is the ultimate in creativity. And it's also about making long-term commitments to something. So this might not be even something long term that you need to worry about. It's just a short term thing, again, if it's something at work. But that's hidden from you, is to really make big decisions about long term things. It might be that if you fix the situation, it's just a short term thing. You're probably, if it's a work situation, you're not going to work with these people forever, right? So it might just be for the next 6 months that you're trying to figure this out. So, all right, let's get you a final message here from the Soul Oracle deck. Final message for Aries. as they work out whatever this is that they're going through. All right. And the final message on this one is to look forward. Yeah, look forward to the future and look forward to the Sun card. You know, you are really in charge of your ultimate happiness and how to get there and what you need to learn to get there. So pay attention to what those things might be. Learn the thing and then move on. All right, let's get a self-care wisdom card to see what you need to do in the way of self-care. So self-care for Aries this week. And the card that comes through to you is the card called Change. A resistance to change is a resistance to life itself. Open your heart and mind to new beginnings. Okay, we've got these new beginnings. This is speaking of this right here with this ending here. The 10 of Wands here is that final push to end. And by endings and new beginnings, really, many times when we have those, it's about ourselves, right? It's about changing who we are, learning, growing. And so make sure that you are doing that. And that's exactly what that card is talking about is change. And don't be resistant to it. If it keeps getting in front of you, you need to learn it and change it for yourself so that you can get to the Sun card, which is just being happy with your life. So, Aries, thank you so much for being here. I hope there was something in this reading that you can take away and use in a positive way in your own life this week. If you're comfortable sharing, drop me a comment down below and let me know if you have questions. Also, I'd be happy to answer those for you. Also, let's see, if you like my reading style, hitting like and subscribe really, really helps. And I appreciate those of you who have done that and who are coming back. Thank you so much for doing that. I really appreciate spending some time with you. And if you do that, also, it helps you find me next week. Come on back and we can see where this energy goes. So thanks so much, Aries. Good luck with this, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.